Hey, how's it going, fellow INFJ folk? So I got two things I want to talk about. It's kind of like relating to how things manifest themselves, and also like how they things reveal themselves. And one is gonna be about work, and the other one is gonna be about one of my daughters. But first, I've been drinking. I've been trying to drink juice a lot more often. I just made this one today, and it's weird. It is good. What I put in here was a half of one of those little seedless watermelons, and I put some sweet baby carrots. I put a mixture of broccoli, cabbage, and I forget what else it was. So I got the good vegetables in there, and what else did I put in there? Some some pomegranate aloe beverage, and oh, a little bit of pineapples. I think like about seven, eight little squares of pineapples. It's like really, really good. I was like, what? Had my wife try it before she left to the cities, and she's like, "It's crazy good." I don't know. Do you do like smoothies or raw fruit type of beverages? If you do, leave a comment down below of your favorite one. Just it's totally random. But anyway, so on to the two things. Yeah, how things reveal themselves. Oh, I think I'll go with the daughter one first. Um, it's a little bit darker and has a well, both of them have like a good ending anyway. But it's the one about my daughter is dark just because the situation. Yeah. So I brought up, I think, a few times on here the struggle with my daughter. She's in ESFP, and has really she has trouble like connecting with not so good influences, and because she's also an empath and she's a strong empath, but she don't know how to control it at times, and I'll try and like help her, and like I invested a lot of my time like trying to help with their cognitive abilities and questioning them and thinking about what they're thinking about and all of that type of stuff with them. And honestly, like I was like feeling like such a failure with my daughters because they kept on continuously making bad choices. And especially my daughter that I'm talking about is because she fell into bad situations and bad stuff happened, and like I hated it because it was kind of like one of those things where I think she might have felt like if she told me about it, it would be like I told you so. And that's what I never wanted to feel like. And I definitely didn't want her to feel that way as well. Anyway, like it got to a point like where she was calling me her stepfather to her friends, and like that's not he's not my real dad, and it was pretty bad, and I was like getting real offended by it. It's like, man, god damn, I raised y'all. I was like, you didn't have no freaking stepdad, or you didn't have no biological dad there. It's like I was the only man in you guys' life who was stepping up, being there because I loved y'all. And I love y'all. Not past tense loved. Um, but anyway, so I was like really, really hurt in here, and I distanced myself from them. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna really. I'm just not putting myself through it. Like I can't believe that they do this to me. And like I got, I get it. I got it a little bit. Was that because of the bad things that they're getting themselves into? You know, it's they're letting the darkness around in their lives, and it was like a struggle for them. and they're hurting themselves, and they had to find somewhere someone to blame and somewhere to blame, and that happened to be me. And anyway, so all I'm saying, it was a dark story, dark situation. But then through this time, she started reaching out to her biological dad. And her biological dad was trying to be like, "Oh, I love you, my daughter," and blah blah blah, and trying to act like he all cares and stuff. And he's not a good dude. He's been in and out of prison a couple times. I'm pretty sure he's drug addict, and yeah, and there's other horrible situations that we heard of. Um. Anyway, so she was staying up in the cities this summer for I think like a week and a half with some relatives, and relatives wasn't that good of a situation, but like because they're so extroverted and with COVID and everything, so we wanted to give them some outside communication with other people other than being stuck at home with just us, you know. So anyway, when she was out there and she got into a situation over there, so she went to another relative's house. And when she was at that relative's house, she reached out to her dad and asked to borrow $5 because she wanted some snacks, and because they didn't have food or anything over there, really, and because they lived down the road from a store. So anyway, what her dad said, it was like, he's like, man, after that, he's like, why don't you ask your dad for some money? Why don't you go talk to him? Why don't you talk to your dad? Just like act like a real jerk. And she's like, I was like, but I was asking you. I thought, I was like, I'm in the cities, you're in the cities. And he's like, no, man, all gonna go probably do with that is like go drink or get some drugs or something. Oh, and she was like, oh man, you know what? No, I just wanted to go get some snacks, but nah, it's good. We're good. Never mind. Anyway, fast forward to when they came back, and like that was like the first thing she told me. She's like, she's like, man, you're my only dad. He's like, forget the other guy. I was like, why? What do you mean? She's like, forget him. So she told me the situation, and I was like, oh my god. Like inside, I was like, kind of like screaming, like, yes, yes. More proof of why I was trying to shelter her. But and like like I'm glad she's understanding, but then I told her like how else I feel. I was like, man, you never had to go through. You should have never had to go through that situation. It's like regardless of your guys' situation, um, he should try to show you the best of himself with the limited time that he has, and just be supportive of who you are, and anything. I don't know. It could have been something like I know. I just felt bad for how that interaction went, and I said she doesn't deserve it. And she's like, I don't even care about the dude no more. Like I can't believe it. I for all I know, he's back to drugging it again, and he's probably gonna end up back in prison. And just to just to come off on accusations like that just made her feel bad, and I don't know. Anyway, so after that, it's been a switch, pretty much back to what she was prior before she started finding herself doing negative things. She's been being my daughter, coming up to me, telling me how much she loves me and how much she cares about me, and being my little girl that I that I had for so many years, or that I raised, and always hugging me, telling me she loves me, and I don't know. just like being an empath and her being an empath, but then also that she can transfer energy that way. Like I've always told her that. Like I felt it more from her, and I didn't want to make her feel like, oh, she's better than others. But like I noticed that about her. Like she can give off that good love and that, and also the negative vibes. She gives that off. So when she gives me the love, like I really feel that, and then like, hey, it makes my tear sockets kind of water up. You know what I'm saying? And so she has that power to do that as an ESFP. And so I was just so I like how it all manifested itself into like what I kind of wished, or not what I wish would happen, but I just like wish you would understand and realize like things that I meant and what I'm trying to do to her and how I'm trying to strengthen her brain without like her coming and saying it to me. So it did come back that way. And then also telling me how her processing goes and how she helps others and processing things. It's like when she's telling me this, it's like, oh my god, that's everything I've been telling you. Like, and I told her it was like therapy and all of that type of stuff. Yeah, that's good to a point, but everything falls on us. We all have the power within ourselves to make good things happen and bad things happen, and be down about things and being happy and hopeful, and all of that type of stuff about things. It's all in here, and it's all in here, and everything is within us. It's just about finding that connection within ourselves and making things happen and manifesting our own lives. And so just I don't know. So yeah, that's one of the beautiful things that I wanted to share with y'all. It wrapped up in kind of negative situations and negative energies, but it was also a thing with at work too. Like one of the female workers, she's 16, 17. But I was like telling her the struggles I was having, and she told me she went through that stage in her life, and but she reassured me. She's like, they'll come around. It's like, I guarantee you, just keep on being the way that you are. They'll come around, and I know they're kind of coming around. So those are some good things. And there's also like a reason why like a lot of my videos prior like have been kind of dark, you know, because both of my daughters, they're both empaths, and they both give off energies, and it like it drains mine, and it puts that dark energy on me, and it's hard to control. Like I can try and control the good energies around, but then when that dark energy comes in, it's like a struggle for me. I don't know. So there's that. But then also I want to get into like how things reveal themselves. And so this is kind of wrapped up in a dark thing as well. It has to do with work, and has to do with one manager and like the frustration of working with him. And like a week prior, I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I just feel like telling the boss. Like I get so close to telling the boss, but I'm like, wow, I don't know how it's gonna work out because he's a manager, and because he does bring a lot to the table into that restaurant. It's like it's just gonna end up a bad thing for me, and I don't want to put myself through that. I don't want to go through it, and I'll just end up getting pushed out, or things that'll end up being turned on me just from all my other experiences where I try to have one-on-ones with other coworkers or people, or have a sit down with the boss and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I had all those situations before, and like I would follow through on my part, but then they would slack or lack off, or they wouldn't follow through, and it became a struggle, and I just don't want to deal with that. Especially like that's my excuse now. It's like, man, goddamn, I'm old. I'm too old for this. Like, there's no point in acting childish. Like, we're all coming here to do work and try to make this a good environment. Like, just help me out, I'm just trying to do my part. Anyway, so I told my wife, I was like, nah, no, I'm not gonna say nothing, because she was like, well, you should say something. I was like, nah. I said, if I'm supposed to say anything, it'll reveal itself in time. Otherwise, I'll just tough it out. It's like, it's all in my mind. I'm good at, what do you call? Oh my god, I forgot the word. Don't you hate that when you forget the word? It's compartmentalizing. So like, half a, I'll tell a little bit more and how it revealed itself. So okay. So a week later, I was like a week later. I was working with the same manager, but also the boss was there, and I showed up on time for work. And the reason why I say on time for work is because I've been slacking. When I work with that manager, I show up like some minutes late. And it's just like, oh, so dreadful to work with him. Like, I got to do a lot of mental preparation. It's a struggle, I'm telling you. Like, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, right? Leave a comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. Say, oh man, I feel you, or something. But anyway, so I came walking in. He was like, oh, you're on time. Good job, Comanche. Good job. And he tends to like act a little bit better than he usually acts when the boss is around or other managers are around. He acts a lot nicer. He's not the sideways remarks Marcus that he usually is, or half of the time that he is when other managers and the boss is around, is what I'm saying. Anyway, so when I was walking in, or no, I walked in, I did, and I had a delivery waiting for me. So went out, did that delivery. When I came back, he was talking about me again. I was coming to do whatever I was doing in the back, and he was like telling the boss, he's like, "Oh yeah, Comanche." Like, he just stands out there for like 5 minutes staring at the door. Like, I don't know what the heck he does, but he just stands there and stares like every time. I was like, what? And anyway, so I finished the whole shift and did the whole work, and I came home, and I was actually thinking about it while I was at work. I was like, oh my God, this is that revealing itself. This is what I'm talking about. So the next day, I thought about it that night too, and I was like, this is that revealing itself. It's time. This is perfect because, yeah, anyway. So the next day, they're both working again. Then I told the boss, is like, because I've been waiting for an annual review. It was like 2 months prior when I worked over a year there. Anyway, so I was like, "You got time?" She's like, "You want to talk?" And I was like, "Yeah." All right. So then sat down with her and told her, I was like, "Yeah." So part of the annual review, it's like, I just need that feedback type of thing. It's like, it's what I thrive on and I need it. And she's like, "Yeah, I totally get it." I said, "But I wanna own up to some of my what I've known that I have allowed myself to do that is not so good." I told her about the few times where I told that specific manager, and like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'll do something else. And it's because like he would try and tease me. He'd be like, "Oh, you want to go? No, not yet." And he'd find more work to me and have me do line work, or like separating foods, and like doing other cooks' work, and it's like on occasion we would do that, but he's like purposely keeping me for longer hours just to make me do extra work. And I know, so there's that, and I said, yeah, I told him, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'll do something else, like part of my job, but I'm not gonna do it. So I kept on refusing, and he'd be like, "Come on, come on." Like, no. It was because he was being so irritating to me. Anyway, so I said that. But then I went into, it's like, so, remember when I came walking in and he told me that he was watching me? It was like, well, that's something that he always does. Like, I didn't know specifically that he was standing at the door watching me while I'm looking at the door and preparing myself. And that's what I'm doing out there, is prepare myself. But before I tell you that, like, he's always over my shoulder watching me, like, asking me if I'm doing what I'm doing and I should be doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, I had to tell him one time, like, man, I know my job. I've been doing this for a long time before you started managing. Like, I know what to do. You don't have to tell me. And just if there's something extra to do, then ask me to do something. It's like you can delegate work to me and I'll be happy to do it, but I'm gonna always be busy. This is what I do. Because I feel like if I'm there not doing nothing, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting the business's time. And I'm not about that. And that comes from my mindset of being a contractor and doing my own business and all of that type of work. So yeah, that's how that went down. But then also, like, then I told her, it's like, having him stand there watching me at the door, like, that's kind of, and she's like, that's creepy, huh? I'm like, yeah, like, why you standing there watching me? And like, so, like, the whole thing that I do when I get to the restaurant is like, yeah, I get my gum, I get a drink of some beverage, and then I pull up my face mask, and I put on my hat, then I get out, stand up, then I do my mental preparation. I was like, oh, I'm working with this guy today. It's like, I know what he's gonna do, I know how he's gonna say it. Just focus on the funny stuff that he does say and focus on what he asks of you that you can do and you should do. And just focus on doing all the work that you need to do. So it's all part of the mental preparation that I was telling her. She's like, oh my God, I totally understand. I totally feel that because I've been at jobs and places where I had to, oh my God, I can't stand working with this person or this boss, or, and you just got to get your mind right, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing, because like half of the time he's good and he's funny, but then half of the time he's got the sideways remarks. And the example I gave her was like, well, when I first started getting busy here, there wasn't much to do, right? And she was like, yeah. It's like, but I was always staying busy, right? And she was like, yeah. Anyway, so we had one time, the very first time it got a little bit busy and stuff started going on. Like, then I started hustling. I was busy washing dishes. I was busy bussing tables. I was busy sitting people down, answering phone calls. I was doing everything. Like, I was hustling because that's what I enjoyed about the restaurant. Like, it always kept me busy and time flew by. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, that's one of the things that I wanted to tell you in your review. Like, I never got to tell you what to do. I never got to tell you to stay busy. I never have to do certain things. Like, there's things that I want done right. Then I come ask you to stop what you're doing and do that. Otherwise, yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. Is like, you're always busy, and I really appreciate that. And like, you're a good example of what we wish all employees would be like here. And I was like, yeah. So after that, he came up to me and was like, hey man, it's about time you stepped up and did some work. I'm like, what? Like, yeah. Seeing you hustling around and stuff and doing some work, and it's about time you did something. Too bad it had to be when all of us were going down. I was like, oh, okay. And so yeah, I ended up telling her all of that stuff and a couple other little examples, but it was just like he revealed a time and a situation that just like made it too perfect. It's like, this is a perfect example of what he does. He told you what he does. And if you don't think it's creepy, then that's creepy in itself. Like, but she like totally got it and understood, and it was like, it revealed itself. And so I don't know if she told him. She was gonna figure out a way to tell him because I was like, she's like, the way that we could do this, like we could have a sit down one on one, or we could all three of us. Otherwise, it's like, no, it's got to be anonymous. And so, hold on. Oh, excuse me, bless me, bless me. Just kidding. Anyway, so then, yes. So since my option that I chose was anonymous, she's like, all right, just to make it not seem like anything, I'll talk to the other drivers when he's around, and so when I do bring up this stuff to him, it won't be like, oh, it was Comanche that said it. Like, yeah, appreciate it. She said, if you want to tell me more, you can tell me more. And I was like, nah, that's just the gist of it. But you can get the idea from that what I got to go through every time. I'm serious. It's like every time, every shift. Like it can't just be like choke around. It's always got to be some sideways remark. But yeah, so those are my two things that I wanted to talk about. I figured I'd just put them all into one. And these were separate videos that I had at other times, but I deleted them. But I still wanted to talk about them. But I just figured like they both kind of are the same, in a different way. Wrapped up in darkness, they manifest themselves and reveal themselves, and I just think it's crazy how it happens. Oh, it's also another thing from the app that I got where it follows my astrology, but it's like it talked about like things will start to reveal themselves in this trial, the struggle cycle that I'm going through will start coming to an end, and things will start looking better for me. Um, so yeah, that's another example. Oh, if you want to know what the app is called, it's the pattern. Yeah, it's the pattern. I want to check that out if you just want to know about it. But all right, thank you all for listening. If this has resonated with you in some way, leave a comment. Let me know down below. But other than that, live long and prosper. This has been Comanche, the INFJ. Appreciate y'all for listening, and have a great day.